Here at High Plane Games, I love to showcase games that do something unique or different, and Painting Werther is definitely that. It's a visual novel, but it's a paintable visual novel, where you will be using your mouse to kind of create brushstrokes on quite a lot of the movable paintings that are going on as backdrops to the main narrative, so that you feel like you're sketching and becoming part of the story as it kind of moves across you. This game is a novel adaptation of a 1774 novel called The Sorrows of Young Werther, which was written by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Now, this story is notorious because when it came out, spoiler alert, it's unrequited love and it doesn't end well. The idea behind all of this, a little bit like Romeo and Juliet, is that because someone dies at the end, it spawned a load of copycats and the book was banned in real life, which I just find absolutely like, what? Going back to the 1770s. Now, the idea behind this novel and the way how it's been translated is that it's mainly done through letters between Werther sending letters to his best friend Wilhelm. And he's talking about falling in love with Charlotte. Charlotte, however, is engaged to be married to Albert. So, not only is Albert perceived as being a much better human being from the point of view of Werther, but he can't help but keep Lottie in his mind and just pines for her all day, every day. And even when he goes off to try and find new loves elsewhere, he just keeps thinking of her instead. So he's become besotted and entranced, basically, by her gaze and gasp and all of that kind of stuff. The writing itself is very 1774, and so your mileage might vary on this because it's not been hugely contemporarized. Lots of sentences or paragraphs start with, "Oh, Wilhelm," or "Oh, Werther," because it's like a "woe is me, the gods have bestowed their misery upon my life." And like, you have to be into that kind of wording and sensibility to really get the most out of this game. But whilst this is all going on, you are just drenched in all of this absolutely gorgeous artwork, some of which move, some of which you can kind of sketch around and paint and blob over. And whilst the painting mechanics are not exactly the most refined, because it's not like you're painting brushstrokes and therefore it's painting what you've just done. It's like you're scribbling with the mouse by pressing and holding down a button sometimes. Or if you're doing like pointillism based paintings, then you're kind of button mashing the left mouse button so that it can create splats of colour as you're going around the screen. And so you are creating the art as you go around, or changing it, or flipping between different styles to choose which version of Werther you want to have in your stories. It's really well done, and like the developer says that they spent 3 years painting all of this stuff, and you can really tell. Some of this stuff is absolutely gorgeous, and where the game like wows you best is when things go into motion and you're like, the camera pans across big painted landscapes and you as the painter might be filling it all in with colour because you're having a happy moment, or turning it back to black and white because you're in misery and woe is me. There are also some quite cool psychedelic-y moments in here too, and it's also the sheer different styles of painting that this game goes through. Like, quite often people specialise in a very specific art style. This merges together so many different disciplines. So you've got watercolours, it looks like there's oil paintings in there, the usual pencil on paper, you've got proper paint going on, then there's like pointillism where it's all like dotted around, then there's some quite cool things around like snipping out and doing silhouettes for a couple of scenes. It really does switch up all of the different things that you do, and whilst you aren't going to be doing too much because it's just pointing and clicking around the screen or just doing like a quick stroke of the mouse, it doesn't half enhance a visual novel experience because you're an active participant in it rather than passively being told the story. Now, it's worthwhile saying there's no voice acting in any of this, but there is a soundtrack of rearranged classical classics, if I dare call them those, and that comes across really well, if not slightly overwrought and dramatic, but that pours into this whole kind of style of painting Werther, because the art style is hyper-realised and very, very in your face. The storytelling is overly wrought and overly emotional on purpose, so is the music. And if you enjoy it and this kind of intrigues you going in, really, this is a 3-hour art show that you can interact with whilst being told about a story of a man who is filled with all kinds of emotions and doesn't know what to do with them. Written review of over on highplanegames.com. I do like it when something really weird comes along that's just left field and interesting and nails it. And that's what Painting Werther does. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.